Okay, so yeah, the message assignment, as we have done so far, we start with our site. So first thing I will do is save as, and I will give it a name. Does it make sense? Give it something like a S. Yes. And just a reminder that we're working with layers. If he wants to go to layers. There you go. This way. Yeah, so just maybe turning off the dimensions, making sure things are clear. So I have also that other geometry that I can probably hide, so it's not bothering me. And then the idea of this proposal is to bring a mesh. So as I talked about last class, under Canvas, you have a link to a particular web page. So that's under 3 themes here. And it sends you to this web page. You can download a mesh of a body. It could be something organic, not necessarily a human body. It could be something else found in nature. And probably you have done this already. You can download or search in that web page or in a different web page that you can go through in Google. You can download an OBJ form, which are meshes in themselves. And when you download them, it's going to give you like a package um, that is typically compressed. And then let me open up how a compressed folder looks like. So under my desktop, I have this compressed folder. You see the zipper right there. And then you can typically just double click and enter it, or you can just extract all. So if you go back, you can right click and extract all. And these are great ways of, compressing, decompressing folders. So you, instead of being so heavy as a file, you kind of reduce the size and you still have the same information. So that's the one. I'm actually going to extract this. Just right click, extract all. It brings a window like that. Where you want to extract it, you can extract it. It will create the same folder. Here it is, but without being set. So then within these files, and depending on what you download, you're going to find different type of files. And what we want is this OBJ file. And typically gives you a preview, but we're not finding here. How do we take an OBJ file into Rhino? Well, it's how you do things in general. You import the file. So there is. So that's the one. Open. It's going to come in. You could just set OK here because it's not really something we want to do super precise, or we're not working with, like scale values or anything, just OK. And we're going to bring that form. You might want to put in a different layer. That's up to you. What we're going to do is select a part of the mesh and then use it as a Boolean operation. So I typically like forms such as the hand because they're almost like tunnels, and I like to combine a couple of them. I do like faces as well. They create some kind of a nice landscape. The nose and the eyes are fantastic forms. Last class I did it with a hand, or at least I started. I'm just gonna cut the face of this guy um, in this particular proposal. So how do we do that? Well, cutting things is the trim command, and you can trim nerves with no problem. Or you can trim meshes. The only thing to remember is that when you're working between meshes, you need to introduce the term mesh in the command and then trim, mesh, boolean, or whatever it is. So I'm going to just go to the front view, select, zoom select, and I'm just going to use the cut plane. Cut plane. This allows you to select an object and then enter and say what parts you want to cut. I'm just going to cut here this part. Okay. So what that does is just a plane that cuts the geometry you have selected. So it just understands the boundaries of that object and it just creates a plane. I'm going to use the mesh trim command. Select the form that we want to use to trim and then select the form. Try that, enter, mount. So that gives me this piece, which, it's okay, nice. And here's the deal. Now, this number one is open, so it's not what is called watertight, meaning it's not like enclosed, so it wouldn't be 3D printable. The thing we can do is just close it by using the mesh tools and probably the fill mesh hole. That's one option. You can do that just now, selecting the edge that is open, and it closes, making an enclosed mesh. I'm going to go back, Control C. Because another thing we can do is use the command mesh to NURB. This transforms the mesh into a NURB. If it has many polygons, be careful, it might take a long time, and it just creates another file on top of it, which sometimes is difficult to get the difference. But notice how what Rhino does is for every single polygon in the mesh, it creates a surface that is a NURB surface. So it's not like it's soft as this or anything. It just creates transforms polygon to surface. Now, if this is a surface, I can use the cap command. I couldn't have used it before because cap is only for NURBs. And if you press enter, it should do that surface that is missing. If I select it under the properties or under the properties, it says close solid. So now I can use that as a Boolean operation. As I mentioned last class, if you want to do a Boolean, it has to be between NURBs or between meshes. It can't be a NURBs with a mesh. They're just not going to talk to each other. So it's either selecting this element by closing the whole of the mesh, and that would mean that we need to mesh, use the command mesh of this element, probably few polygons, because it's a very quite geometrical and planar shape. And this is a closed mesh. This is a polysurface. So this is the mesh, mesh with mesh, surface with surface. Is there a one I recommend the most? I probably recommend going the surface line. So probably recommend that you transform the mesh to the NURBs and that you do a Boolean operation using NURBs. So I'm just going to do that. This is a polysurface. This is also a polysurface. I'm going to use this too. Okay. Zoom select. I'm going to take it. I'm going to just hide or delete this guy because I don't need it. And I'm going to start using that as a form or opportunity for creating forms. I'll rotate it a little bit. I'm going to scale it. I'm going to mirror it. I can say copy now, and then maybe this plane. Mirror, and then I can move this to an area of interest. Maybe it's too big. Then I can just copy this one again, do a mirror, for example, bring it here, go to perspective, and rotate it a little bit, scale it, bring it to the side, zoom select. Actually, I like the face, so probably better have a face there. Okay. just for the sake of it, I'm going to create a couple of cylinders from the front view. And I'm going to scale these guys in this direction, bring them here as connectors of the different crazy spaces. I'm going to create one here, a little bit smaller. Another one there, much bigger. This. Another one there. Okay, so let me go back. When I'm doing this little thing, that's the center button, allows you to create a little like little panel of your own, and you can shape those by pressing shift and moving these guys out of that panel, and you can bring other ones inside of that panel. So you can actually edit your own toolbar, the ones that you think you use a lot. So it could be, it becomes a bit faster for you to work with. So anyway, I'm going to do a Boolean just to see how it looks. Difference. Select all of the other ones. Now, given that there were meshes before, it might take a little time. And sometimes you have to go when there are many complex geometries, you want to go one at a time and carve out step by step instead of all of them at the same time. Like here. I should have saved before doing this. Chances are it's gonna fail. And then there we go. Like some weird things are happening here. Why not? It's just okay. So that's great. I could have done the Boolean intersection, as you know, and it would be the negative of the previous. So you can always test those two to see which one you're more interested in as an output. So clearly that's not good, as I mentioned before. So what do we do? Well, there's one thing, Control Alt Delete allows you to look at what's going on. You can click on Task Manager, and there's this little window. I don't know if it has happened to you, but you can take a look at what happens, and it tells you a little bit of the memory that is taken. So notice how Rhino, it's 10% versus the rest, which are 1 or 0 point whatever. So it really is taking a lot of kind of memory from the computer. So sometimes if you're a little patient, it happens. Other times you can do the same, Control Alt Delete, and just stop Rhino. I want to start all over again. But anyway, Control S to save. it's important. I'm just gonna say that's the one that I want, good for that. And that's pretty much the trick. I think the mesh trim is the most important tool in that sense. You just need to make sure that your trim surface is in a proper location and that you don't get a very, 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 very complex nor large mesh, because it might take a little bit of time to produce that model, like this one, for example. It's kind of aggressive, no? Nice. Anyway, so now we go through the steps again, and I'm just going to stop the video and continue without having to record this.